Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live. We're in the studio, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news, all the latest Michael Carrick news. Going to be getting into how he got the job and a few other bits and pieces as well. So make sure you are hitting that like button. And apologies for being a little bit late. A few gremlins in the machine we had to iron out. Good to see so many people here already. The usual suspects and some new ones. Mick Holohan, Adam Kenny, Dan United 94, Raven 78, Phil Berry. Good to see all you wonderful people. Someone said, imagine Jay's face, Dan United 94, seeing all the likes. 94, sorry. Dan United 94 says, imagine Jay's little face, seeing all the likes. Thank you for that. So, yeah, do hit that like button. Let's talk about Michael Carrick, because we know he's the Manchester United manager, and we know he's amazing. The Mirror have done a piece today, and this has sort of been doing the rounds the last day or so. About what Michael Carrick has done at United, about what he's doing at United, and about how he got the job, why he got the job. Now, at first, when Michael Carrick, if you give me, I've just left my thing on there. When he first got the job, there was more of a sense of, it felt like Ollie didn't get the job. It was between Carrick and Ollie. Ollie didn't get the job because of maybe some of the demands he was making, maybe because he wanted longevity, he wanted to be guaranteed that he'd get the job permanently if he got Champions League football. It felt very much like the focus was more on why Ollie didn't get it rather than why Carrick did, if that makes sense. Piece out today, and we've heard a few little sort of stories, or seen a couple of stories alluding to this over the last day or so, about what it was about Carrick that the owners liked. What was it about Carrick that impressed INEOS? And it seems that he made his sort of case very clear, and he did it in a way that impressed. He was very calm, very reassuring. He had like a sort of a practical approach to it, things he was going to change, things he was going to do that would improve Manchester United and the squad and the mood of the squad and the effectiveness of the squad almost immediately. And we've seen that in action. That Derby Day performance. I know City lost at Bodo Glimt midweek, which kind of took the lustre off our win a little bit, because everyone's going like, well, United weren't that great. It was just that City are just rubbish. Well, look, United were much, much better than we've been in recent years, I'd say. I don't say that lightly. I thought that performance against Manchester City was one of the best performances I've seen post-Fergie. It was. Now, you can argue with me about the level of Manchester City all you want, but the fact is Manchester City went in that game on, what, a 13-game unbeaten run? They weren't terrible going into that game. They were doing quite well, and they're still challenging for the title, and Manchester United made them look bang average, and it should have been 4 or 5-0. So I think you've got to give Michael Carrick credit for that. The piece in the Mirror sort of goes into the changes he's made, just what exactly he has done that have, that impressed INEOS and how effective that has been. So just go into some of them. I mean, some of them is just his approach to talking to players, apparently after the games now, where in the past players would just leave. He does like a proper debrief. He's doing a little bit more hands-on when it comes to the speaking to players. In terms of coaching, feels that Steve Holland does a lot of coaching. We can see here, though, a little bit about the sort of the pitch that Michael Carrick made to INEOS. So it says the executive meeting, this is the meeting between Michael Carrick and the board, or the hierarchy, I should say, not the board, had been planned to take place in Monaco, but Carrick couldn't justify travelling to the south of France when he had important work to do on the training pitch. He told his bosses he would be adopting a different approach to training and match preparation, that he was invested in quality more than quantity, how talking to each other and being honest, however brutal this might be at times, was just as valuable as having the ball at their feet on the training ground. So we're hearing that the training now is sort of shorter but more intense. So you're doing less training in terms of the quantity of it, but there's more quality there. Also, club sources insist Radcliffe was impressed with his calm and intelligent demeanour. Carrick knew there would be a step up in enthusiasm and energy from his squad following his return to the club, that a new and familiar face to some would give the group a lift, and that's true, it has. And I think he's had a few champions in there, a few people who've sort of said, look, I think Harry Maguire, there it goes. Harry Maguire made it clear to his teammates how United had rehired someone with the club's principles running through his blood. Carrick has given free rein to Holland to plan sessions and take them at Carrington. Gareth Southgate handed him the similar responsibility, or the same responsibility during his time at England. It worked for him, and Carrick sees no reason why the same cannot happen for himself. So Carrick is making these changes, and it seems to have had an immediate effect, and quite sensible. I like Carrick. I like the way he carries himself. There's obviously a little bit of gravitas there with Michael Carrick. People know what he's achieved at Manchester United as a player. They know what he achieved as a coach. Even his short stint as a manager was, his previous stint as a caretaker manager was successful, even though it was only 3 games. So he comes there with a bit of credibility that maybe Ruben Amorim, I know Ruben Amorim's won more as a manager, but maybe Ruben Amorim lacked a bit of that at times. Maybe some of the players were just underwhelmed. I don't know. I think a lot of the players probably didn't know much about Ruben Amorim when he arrived at Manchester United. They'll know a lot about Michael Carrick. They'll know about him from his time as a player, from his coaching career, and even his managerial career. I know he didn't set the world alight at Middlesbrough, but he did okay, and people know about that. So he's going to come in there with a little bit of a reputation that the players sort of get. And he's obviously had a plan that the board or INEOS or Ratcliffe or Wilcox, whoever you want to talk about, liked, and it made sense to them. And so far, so good. Now, we've got another big test at the weekend. Arsenal away is the toughest game you can have. Arsenal, top of the league, go at their ground. They're doing really well. There's no questions about, are they faltering a little bit? They're flying. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And I think we'll find more out about this squad from the Arsenal game than we perhaps saw from the City game. The City game's different because at Old Trafford, for starters, it's a derby. So the crowd were on it at Old Trafford. I can't emphasise that enough. The crowd were up for it from the kickoff. It was great to see. That obviously gives you an advantage. There's that whole thing of it's the first game under a new manager. And you might go, well, look what happened with Darren Fletcher. There wasn't really that response. Although we were better against Burnley, it wasn't like a massive upturn. But you know that this manager's going to be here to end the season. It's a different kind of feeling. So tactical things he did, bringing Kobbie Mainoo back into the side, seemed to have a positive effect. Harry Maguire coming back, no, it's not tactical, it's just personnel-wise. Harry Maguire coming back was a massive boost. I thought he played very well against Manchester City. Plus the fact that he was a little bit different, wasn't it? There was no Benjamin Sesko, there was no Mateus Cunha. He set up a little bit differently, and it worked. It really worked. Tougher test against Arsenal, but from what we gathered from that report from, I think, is it Jeremy Cross in the Mirror, and from other reports we've seen as well, he's impressed with what he's planned to do when he made his case for INEOS. He's impressed so far with what he has been doing. Now can he carry that forward and get another good result? I mean, that would be a huge result, and we can all start getting carried away if we beat Arsenal at the Emirates. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Some people are commenting. Michael Carrick says McKeel 5888. The one red mank says, morning all, can't wait for Carrick to get these lads cooked. Arsenal. Double A8750 says, big up. Soliloquum says, if beating City is getting worse, let's nosedive all the way. Love that. Someone's pointing out Arsenal just beating a 3-1. Arsenal are doing well. They are. The top of the league. They're doing well in Europe. It is going to be a difficult game, that one. Let's not sugarcoat it. And there's a chance that United could go to the Emirates, play really well, and not get anything out of the game. Because you could argue that if Arsenal turn up and we turn up, it's going to be tough for us to get much. But you can never count United out. And look, we have got real quality. We saw that on Sunday. We knew that anyway. We didn't need the performance against Sunday to remind us that Ahmad is a good player or that Brian Mbeumo is a good player. We know that. I think so many of us have been talking about the fact that Kobbie Mainoo is a good player. We know what Casemiro's capable of. You look at that team and you go, yeah, we know these players are good. Just no consistency. Michael Carrick spoke about it after the game. I think he said he wants to make winning the new normal. He wants to see that level of consistency that's been missing. And I think those are wise words. Let's talk about the money table. So the Deloitte, I don't know how you say it, you know how I say it, Money League table has come up, and United fall to lowest position, with Liverpool the highest earning Premier League club and Real Madrid top. So if you scroll down there, I think we'll be able to see the sort of the graph and the table itself. There you go. So Manchester United down to 8th. We brought in, is it 333 million commercially, match day 160 million, which is still quite high. I think in match day terms, we're the highest revenue for any Premier League club. Broadcast 172 million. You look at that compared to Arsenal. Arsenal had another 100 million from broadcast over us. I mean, Arsenal are flying in the league and they're in the Champions League. If you're not in Europe and your last season were in the Europa League, I don't know when this sort of covers. It covered last season, sorry, yeah. So last season you're in the Europa League, you're not going to get as much money as if you were in the Champions League. Even if you go all the way to the Europa League final, it doesn't matter, does it? You're not. The Champions League is the one that brings you in the most money. Manchester United as well didn't really do much in the domestic cups last season. Sort of flattered to deceive a little bit. I know we beat Arsenal at the Emirates, but all amounted to nothing. So it hasn't been a great season. Plus you've got the fact we finished 15th, the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League. So it's no surprises to me that United are down in 8th. We're always going to have a big match day revenue. Look at our match day revenue compared to someone like Aston Villa. We bring in a £100 million more, or just under £100 million more than Aston Villa, despite the fact that Aston Villa had a better season than us last season. Doesn't matter. United have got a massive capacity there, 75,000 see at Stadium. We sell it out every week. You're always going to have big match day revenue. Look at City's, for example. Their match day revenue is, 90 million quid less than ours. However, when you look across and you go to City's other revenue, their broadcast revenue is over £100 million more than us. And their commercial revenue is slight. Is it 10 million, sorry, more than us. But even that's a bit embarrassing because City are a much smaller club than Manchester United. They just are. People don't like, City fans don't like that. But let's be real. I'm not talking about success currently. I'm talking about the size of the club. United are much, much bigger. City, who've been flying for ages, commercially making a little bit more money than Manchester United. If Manchester United start performing on a football pitch, everything will go up. Everything. Maybe your match day revenue doesn't go up much because if you're selling out every week, it can't go up much, can it? However, if you're in the cup competitions and you're going, you're having more games, then obviously it will go up. Broadcast will go up commercially as well. You'll do better if your team is doing better. I'm not telling you anything you didn't know it. We've had Kieran Maguire on to explain it and explain why you get better sponsorship deals if you're a successful club. You sell more stuff if you're a successful club. Brands want to be associated with success. Manchester United are always going to be able to find sponsorship deals and find brand deals because of the size of the football club. But it'd be much easier to get better and bigger deals if we were winning things, if we're in the Champions League, if we're challenging for titles, if we're winning titles. People want to be associated with that. So at the minute, United are sort of struggling to get those commercial deals that we perhaps have got in the past. Still making loads of money, even though we're 8th, which is low in terms of where we used to be. We're still making hundreds of millions of pounds every year. However, we're not making as much as we should because of the lack of success. Let me know what you think. Do you care about this? I mean, it can have a knock-on effect, doesn't it? The more money you bring in, the more you can spend. The more you can spend, the more success you can get. It's not just about spending money. I get that, but that's a huge part of what makes a football club successful. Even Manchester United in our pomp, yes, we had the Class of 92s and the Academy and all the rest of it. We still spent money on, big name players, and it worked. So it does have a knock-on effect, and I think we need to be honest about that. McKeel says, Newcastle outspent United in the 90s and still won fuck all. Yeah, you can spend lots of money and still win now. However, you do need to spend. Let's not be silly about it. Blade X says, morning, Jay. Morning. Akash K says, I miss the Hublot sponsor, Jay. The watches with the red devil on the face were glorious. Once Fergie retired, they left, as did Nike. Santa Knox says, just being in Europe and our broadcast revenue was shoot up. Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier. I think if you look at it and you go, if you're in the Champions League, not just Europe, if you're in the Champions League, then your revenue's going to go, much, much higher than we have been recently. United needs to be in that competition, man. It's so painful, the fact that we're not in it so often. And even when we were in it last, we just got our asses handed to us, didn't we? We just didn't, finish bottom of the group and didn't even make the Europa. It was just embarrassing. Manchester United should be in the Champions League, and we should be challenging in the Champions League. And also, with the new changing format, it's not as difficult, I don't think anyway, you might disagree, to progress in the Champions League. It's made it a little bit easier, in my opinion. So we need Manchester United back in there. Have we left ourselves too much to do this season? Possibly, but I think we can still do it. I think we can still make the Champions League. Listen, if we win on Sunday, it's a big if, then everyone will expect Champions League football. Let's talk about De Zerbi, Roberto De Zerbi. Been linked with the Manchester United job. I'm a bit underwhelmed by this one. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought he did all right at Brighton. He's been in a lot. He's had a lot of clubs, Roberto De Zerbi. I think let me have a look at this, right? And that's not necessarily the worst thing. You can have a lot of clubs because you keep having success and going on to bigger and better things. It's not the end of the world if you've had a lot of clubs. However, even by that sort of idea, he's 46. And let's just count it. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clubs so far. It's quite a lot, that, isn't it? And he doesn't tend to stay at clubs that long. I think he was at Sassuolo for the longest. He was there for 3 years. Some of that was COVID as well, which I don't know if that skewed it. I mean, he did manage them for 120 games, so he was there for quite a bit. But a lot of the clubs, he was there for sort of 30, 20, 89 games at Brighton. So did, 2 seasons? So he's a well-travelled manager. He's doing well at Marseille. Obviously, they're in the Champions League. People have been looking at De Zerbi, saying he could come back to the Premier League. He's got Premier League experience, did well at Brighton. A young, successful manager who people like. Could he be the man to turn Manchester United around? Possibly. I'm a little bit underwhelmed by this one. Julien Lorenz was on the telly last night. I think he was on TNT. Talking about it. Was it 3-0 Marseille got beat off the Scousers? I think Liverpool beat him last night. Let's have a look. I think it was 3-0. Sorry, I've forgotten. Yeah, it was 3-0 at home to Liverpool, and they lost. I mean, look, I know people will criticise the question. I don't think that result in itself means much. Liverpool, who aren't having the greatest season, have still got a squad full of talent, a squad full of big money signings. Liverpool's budget is just not even comparable to Marseille's. So I get why it's going to be a struggle for Roberto De Zerbi to get a result against Liverpool. I don't think you should judge him on that one. However, he is getting some criticism. Julian Renz, one or two other people saying, is he the right guy for United? Maybe showed his limitations a little bit during that game, and that's asking a bigger question. Let me know what you think. Obviously, this is a wider question, isn't it? If it's not De Zerbi, who is it? Is it Michael Carrick? Look, if Michael Carrick gets Champions League football, I will sit here and want Michael Carrick to be the manager. I will, because it's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? He's come in. If you get Champions League football, they've won a load of games. He's a United legend. Everyone would want him to stay on. However, is that the plan from the board? Would the board have another plan? Also, if he doesn't get Champions League football, if for any reason it isn't a successful season, would you still give him another crack at the whip? Maybe not. If you're not going to do that, then who are you going to go for? I'd like to see INEOS have a plan. I don't know if they have. I'd like to see him have a plan. Maybe De Zerbi's on that short list. Maybe he isn't. Let's get into some of the comments. If you're not going for De Zerbi, who are you going for? That's what I want to know. What about Lauren Blanc, says Christopher Skelton. Reckless Thought says, why is Sir Jim going to watch Chelsea games? Santa Notch says, not having De Zerbi. His setup of Marseille last night wasn't impressive. Yeah, he's been getting a bit of stick for that. Justin Beaver says, De Zerbi fell out with Brighton because he wanted more control over transfers. He wanted to buy more experienced players. You get what you deserve in life, says Dan United 94. Oh, that's very clever. CTB says, manager equals head coach. INEOS want a head coach without celebrity manager status. Dan United 94 says, Jay, what would be the title of your autobiography? That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I'll have a think about it. Just one disaster after another would be a good title, but we'll see. I'll have a think. Some absolute insane comments going on. I don't even know what's going on here. But I think people are talking about Friends. Yeah, just not their own Friends. I think the TV show Friends are about Phoebe. Let's talk about Ruben Neves. Can we not? Honestly. This is from the Mirror. Man United transfer news. Real Madrid open door for deals. Red Devils near loan agreement. So there's talk of us going in for Ruben Neves here. Is that the sort of crux of this piece? Go on, keep going. Yeah, whatever you get to, it's fine. Real Madrid are not interested in signing Ruben Neves this month, according to reports in Spain per Sport Witness. It is claimed that Los Blancos president Florentino Perez is not keen on signing new players in January. Portuguese outlet Record makes a similar claim and suggests that Perez is reluctant to spend millions on Neves this month. The ex-Wolves star's contract with Al Hilal expires in the summer. This could provide an open route for Manchester United to make their move. United are said to be willing to spend 20 million euros to sign him in January. I'm not a huge fan of this deal. I don't know if it's going to happen for starters. There's so many sort of stories doing the rounds, reports and rumours that are very vague. Could mean anything, could mean nothing. Like, United could be in for this player, and there's talk of this mystery midfielder that has played in the Premier League but doesn't play here at the minute. Could that be Ruben Neves? Could it be Ruben Loftus-Cheek? Could it be any other Rubens? I wasn't keen on Ruben Neves when he was linked with us, when he was at Wolves. I thought he was all right. I didn't think he was good enough to take it to that level that Manchester United were aspiring to reach. I feel like as a stopgap, he'd be okay. But if you're going to buy him permanently, what is the deal there? You're going to get him and just get rid of him in the summer, or you're going to keep him on? He's been at Al Hilal for a couple of seasons now. I don't care what Cristiano Ronaldo says. The standard there ain't anywhere near the Premier League. And I think he'll have suffered because of that. Can he just come into the Premier League and do a job straight away for Manchester United? Possibly, but I'm sceptical. I'm really sceptical about this one. I am. I just don't see the value in signing him. I really don't. And I don't know how real this link is. I just don't. It feels a little bit vague and a little bit like sort of some of the stories I'm seeing that Ruben Neves would be happy to join United. What's that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Like, Ruben Neves has experience in the Premier League. Yeah, well, lots of players do. Does that mean they're good enough? No, it doesn't. I understand the argument that Manuel Ugarte is not at the level you want. Casemiro is getting on a bit. Kobe Mainoo obviously was persona non grata under Ruben Amorim. He's now come back into the team. You are a little bit short though. But I just don't get it, mate. I'm just not about it. Let me know what you think. Dan United 94 says Motti slams Neves in furious online rant. I'd rather be looking at the Championship than the Saudi League, says Fansu Ziddiq. Yeah, I agree with that. Martin P 5184 says Mateta, get him. Yeah, Jean-Philippe Mateta has been linked with a move away from Crystal Palace. Potentially could get him. I understand that. I understand the thinking there. He's sort of, he scores a lot of goals. He's a good player. He's 28, Mateta. Let's have a look. I don't think many people have been moaning if we signed him. I don't know. Yeah, he's 28. I don't know if United are going to go for him. I don't know. It's a bit weird at the minute with United with strikers, isn't it? Because we've only got like one out-and-out striker in Benjamin Sesko. He's done all right this season, and he's probably not scored enough goals. But at the minute, you don't know what Michael Carrick is going to do with him. You don't know how often he's going to play. Obviously, if anything happens to him, then you haven't really got any other out-and-out strikers. You've got Joshua Zirkzee, who can play as a striker, although you could argue he's more of a 10 or a 9.5. You've got Chido Obi, who hasn't really featured this season. He's probably not quite there yet. So, I don't know. One to keep an eye on. You could go for Mateta, I suppose. I don't think anyone would be moaning if we got him, but he'd definitely he'd be definitely coming in as a backup. And it's just what sort of system you're going to play, how happy would he be with that. Let's talk about Harry Amass. Manchester United make decision, or January transfer window decision for defender. He was at Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't he? He did quite well there. I know there was this sort of thing with Ruben Amorim when he sort of highlighted him or called him out a little bit, and then people saying, well, he wasn't actually calling out Harry Amass. He was talking about the fact that he'd gone out on loan, and it was all got a bit weird, didn't it? The whole sort of discourse around that. But he has done well at Sheffield Wednesday. They're in all sorts of trouble financially, though, and he's now going to Norwich City. It looks like he's heading to Norwich City on loan for the remainder of the season. I like Harry Amass. Good lad. We've interviewed him on the channel. Spoke to him on tour a couple of years ago. Got a very good head on him. Sort of very, mature attitude and self-critical at times as well. There's question marks in there about his physicality. Is he too small? Is he not quick enough? I don't know. I think he's got the talent to play in the Premier League and play in the Premier League for Manchester United. It'll be interesting to see what happens at Norwich, because he did very well at Sheffield Wednesday despite the problems they've got. Sheffield Wednesday fans love him. So if he does well there, maybe he gets another chance. Maybe he gets a chance pre-season. And whoever the new manager is has a look at him and decides whether he's got a future at Manchester United. He's still only young as well. He doesn't necessarily have to come into the United side now. He might go out on loan again next season and come into the United side the season after that. We'll have to wait and see. Just one final one on the protest that's planned ahead of the Fulham game. We've done a tweet. Si Stoney's mentioned this. Others have mentioned it. We have spoke to Steve from 958. We're going to have that interview up this week, I think. So we'll post in that, and we'll be getting the sort of the skinny on what exactly is going on. Why is this process taking place? What is it the 58 are asking from the club, from the owners? What do they want to see happen, and how can Manchester United fans get involved? Not everyone can get down to Old Trafford. You might want to join that protest. You can do it online. You can highlight it. There's lots of other ways to make your voice heard. I think protest is an important part of, I don't get all philosophical and deep, but I think it's an important part of society, and I think it's an important part of Manchester United. If you're not happy with something, you should be able to make your voices heard. And I think you might look at it and go, does it have an effect? I think it has had an effect in the past protests. I think it has. And I think if you're looking at things, the way INEOS are running things, the way Sir Jim Ratcliffe is coming, and you're unhappy, then there's an opportunity to do something about it. GM1682 says, Jay, which teams from the Championship would you like to see in the Premier League? Don't have much of a dog in the fight, when it comes to the Championship, because usually there's like when it's Leeds in there, there's party that goes, I wouldn't mind seeing Leeds back in there because I hate them, but they're a rival. And I'm looking through the Championship teams here, and I'm just a bit, underwhelmed. I'm trying to think of decent away days and stuff like that. I'm not that I do many aways anymore, but there's no one I'm really looking at that I think massively. Maybe Ipswich because of Kieran McKenna. There's a United connection there, isn't there? Couldn't that be something? I think if Millwall come up, there'll be fireworks. I remember when Millwall, when they played City in the Championship, and it kicked off down Wilmslow Road, down the Curry Mile. It was all going off down there. So I'd probably say not Millwall is my answer. I think we could do without. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be doing an away trip to Millwall, and I wouldn't look forward to them coming to Old Trafford, to be honest with you. And, you know, if that offends any Millwall fans, then I'm sorry, but let's be honest, your fans have got a reputation well earned for being absolute thugs. I'm going to wrap it up there. Going to be back later on today. We have got, this is it, this is the big one. We have got Carl Anker back on the channel. He's coming in to chat to us about tactics, about, I was going to say Ruben Neves then, about what Michael Carrick is doing at Manchester United. So make sure, if you're not doing so already, you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that interview that will be up later on today. Also, check out the merchandise. There's a link in the chat to our merch. So I'll just make it a little pinned. Oh, no, it's gone. Oh, never mind. In fact, there it is. Oh, there's a link there. You can see it there. Also, it's in the chat, and it'll be in the description as well. So support the channel with merchandise, and it's top quality stuff as well. Make sure you check out all the other videos. Later on, we've also got Off the Bar 2 with myself, with Joe, and I think Adam McCall's coming with that one as well. So loads happening with the channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that. I've been Jay Moy. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.